You know, when you're trying to learn a new language, have you ever stopped to think what's actually going on in your head? It's something so many of us do, but yeah, it can feel like a total black box. Well, today we're going to pry that box open. Because look, getting a handle on the how can totally change your approach to the what. So, we're going to take a walk through the biggest theories that have shaped everything from those old school textbooks to the language app that's probably on your phone right now. So, here's the game plan. We'll kick things off with the old mechanical view, then jump into the cognitive revolution. After that, we'll break down one of the most influential models out there, explore the unique language every single learner creates, and then wrap up with a whole new way to think about mistakes. First up, let's rewind to the 1950s and 60s. The dominant idea back then was that learning a language was basically just building up muscle memory for your mouth. This was called behaviorism. Thinkers like B.F. Skinner didn't really see language as some creative thing happening in the mind. Nope, to them, it was just a behavior you could observe. They basically thought learning a language was, well, kind of like training a pet. You do the right thing, you get a reward. It's all about repetition and forming habits. And the process they came up with, it was super simple. You hear something, that's the stimulus. You say it back, that's the response. And then you get told, good job, or no, try again, and that's the reinforcement. This whole idea led directly to those classroom drills we've all done, endless choruses of repeat after me. But then along comes this guy, the linguist Noam Chomsky, and he just blows a massive hole in the whole theory with a really simple but profound question. If we only learn by imitating, how do we say things we've never, ever heard before? How do we create brand new sentences? And that question, well, it changed everything. Yeah, that one question basically lit a match and started a revolution. The focus suddenly shifted away from just watching behavior to trying to figure out the incredible machinery working inside our brains. Chomsky's big idea was that we're not born as empty hard drives. He proposed that we all have something he called a language acquisition device, or LAD. You can think of it like your brain comes with this universal grammar software pre-installed, just waiting for you to hear a language to activate it. Now, there was another perspective called cognitivism. This idea suggests it's not some special language-only device, but just our overall brain development that paves the way. For example, you have to get the idea of bigness in your mind before you can ever learn and use words like bigger or smaller. The concept has to click into place first. All right, so that brings us to the 1980s and a linguist named Stephen Krashen. He's a huge name because he took all these ideas and built a really comprehensive model that was aimed specifically at those of us learning a second language. Okay, this is probably his most important idea. Krashen drew a hard line between acquisition and learning. He said that acquisition is what a kid does. You just absorb it naturally by focusing on what things mean. Learning, on the other hand, is you in a classroom consciously memorizing verb charts. And here's the real bombshell. Krashen argued that the stuff you formally learn can never become the stuff you naturally acquire. They're two separate things. So if you can't learn your way to fluency, how do you acquire it? Krashen said it happens one way, through what he called comprehensible input. He had this cool little formula for it, I+1. The I is just your current level. The +1 is new stuff that's just a tiny step beyond what you already get. It's that sweet spot. Not so hard you're lost, not so easy you're bored. That's where the magic happens. So you might be asking, what's the point of learning all those grammar rules then? Well, according to Krashen, they have one job. They act as a monitor. It's like a little editor in your head. After you say something using your naturally acquired language, that editor can pop in and check for mistakes and polish things up. But, and this is a big but, for that little editor to even turn on, 3 things have to happen at once. You need time to think, you have to be totally focused on being grammatically correct, and you have to actually know the specific rule you're trying to apply. Now think about it. In a normal, fast-moving conversation, when does that ever happen? Pretty much never, right? Krashen also noticed something else really interesting. We all seem to acquire parts of a language in a predictable order, a natural order. And here's the wild part. That order often has nothing to do with the order in your textbook. So what this means is that the easiest rule to explain in a classroom isn't necessarily the first one your brain is actually ready to absorb. And his last big idea is the effective filter. Think of it like a shield that goes up around your brain. When you're feeling stressed, anxious, or just plain bored, that shield pops up and boom, the language input just bounces right off. It can't get in. This is why feeling relaxed, confident, and motivated is absolutely crucial. Okay, so now let's talk about this really elegant idea that explains that messy, in-between stage of learning a language. You know, the one where you spend most of your time. A linguist named Larry Selinker gave us the term interlanguage. It describes the unique personal language system that every single learner creates. It's not your native language, and it's not quite the language you're trying to learn. It's its own thing, with its own logical rules. It's basically the bridge you're building, one plank at a time, from what you know to where you want to go. And that's the key. Your interlanguage isn't just one fixed thing. It's a journey along a continuum. When you start out, your bridge is built mostly with materials from your first language. But as you progress, you're constantly renovating, adding new structures, and getting closer and closer to your destination. But sometimes, construction on parts of that bridge just stops. This is called fossilization. It's when a certain error just gets baked in and becomes permanent, like a heavy accent or a specific grammar mistake you always make. It's not because you're lazy. It's often because your brain decides, hey, people understand me, this is good enough. And development in that one little area just halts. All right, last stop. And this is probably the most useful, practical takeaway from all these theories, how we should think about all those errors we inevitably make. Okay, this is super important. Not all mess-ups are created equal. A mistake is a slip of the tongue. You know the right way to say it, you were just tired or not paying attention, and you can correct yourself. But an error is different. It's systematic. It's a clue. When a learner consistently makes the same kind of error, it's not a failure. It's a window into the rules their brain is currently using. It tells you exactly where they are on their interlanguage journey. This just completely flips the script on how we should treat errors. They aren't failures. They're proof that learning is actually happening. They're diagnostic tools. So the goal shouldn't be to just stamp out every little slip-up. Instead, we should focus on getting the message across and only worry about those really persistent, systematic errors that get in the way of communication. So we've gone from simple drills to the idea of a pre-wired brain to the incredible power of just understanding what's being said, all the way to seeing our errors as signposts. We've seen how much our understanding has grown. So the question to leave you with is, now that you know all this, what are you going to do differently?